Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Jase Brown. I'm one of the ASFX coaches for the ASFX investment group, and today we have Mr. Barrett right over here. So Barrett, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey guys, my name's Barrett. I'm an ASFX trader. Been trading with ASFX for 4 months now, since March or so. And I'm currently active duty military. I do a lot of swing trading, but when I get a chance, I day trade. Jase is pretty much my primary go-to man, and we've been an awesome experience.
Awesome, guys. So today what we're going to talk about in this video, we're going to be talking about our trade recap on USD JPY. I closed out a little bit of profit on USD JPY. Barrett actually closed most of his majority of profit. Is that correct?
It is, actually. So I was following the ASFX, the exit rules. You know, I felt really good, so I kind of let it break past the 21, but when it broke the 50 with the strong bar, I closed my position, and as it worked out, that's when the position started reversing against me, so it was definitely a good call.
Mm-hmm. From my standpoint, guys, I was looking at USD JPY kind of like a swing trading kind of a trade. I liked it a lot on the higher time frames, and I really like the idea of shorting it at the correct level. So Barry, why don't you just kind of show us what was your idea on USD JPY? Because we hopped on Wednesday, is that correct? About Wednesday, whenever we hopped on that trade?
I think we generated the idea Wednesday because we didn't know, but we had a pretty probable setup where it's kind of building divergence. It wasn't until Thursday morning when we entered, and we held through Friday, and you held longer than I did, and you even caught the re-entry, but I was out on the first break.
Yeah. So I had my idea. You know, I just kept it a little bit quiet. I know I did say in the ASFX chat that I was looking at it and I was looking for a possible short on Wednesday, and so I know Barrett liked it a lot on Thursday in the morning. Is that correct?
Yeah, actually, it was funny that you put that out in the group chat Wednesday, because I was thinking the exact same thing. I saw the exact same thing as you did. I could see it building divergence before I went to bed. It was like, this is like my number one pick in the morning. And so I hopped on the call with you. We actually took the trade live together in one of your live streams. And I guess we're going to go over how it went out.
Link in the description, by the way. Monday to Friday, 5 a.m. CST.
Hey guys, so this is my screen. This is what I was looking at. Like I said earlier, we came up off of a D2. We popped up over here. We retested this zone that I have marked. We'll go into that over in a bit. But more importantly, we were also testing the 800 on the 15-minute chart. You see if we zoom in, you can see it starts to build divergence here. You know, start, set, and then you can see it get confirmed down here with this lower high, which is something that we always love to see. I needed a little bit more confirmation before I got in the trade. So I waited until it broke the 50 once, came back didn't reach a new high, and then when it broke the 50 again, you can see I entered just a couple bars later. And so from here, you can see that other than when it briefly pops up off the 200, it pretty much holds the 8 and 21 all the way down until 2R. You can see, like I referenced earlier, I was out right here once it broke the 50 with a strong bar, but you can see here, there was another opportunity to go short again off of a previously established level.
Which is
so this is the 15-minute chart. The original take profit goal was down here. I wanted to hit that divergence zone. Didn't happen, but that's why we always have to follow our exit rules and make sure that we're not caught holding the bag and we can take home some profits, which is what both me and Jase did.
Exactly.
Coming off in the 4 hour, you see it's a rejection point set in the 23rd of June. Price hit it, wicked it pretty strongly, came up and started trading in this channel, came down, made a lower high here. So that's definitely a good shorting indicator. You can see it pop. One second, I'll get rid of that. Break through the zone, come back and retest it. And I saw this Wednesday before Jase actually put that out in the group chat that we were headed towards this zone. And if it made a lower high, I definitely wanted to catch some momentum and short it. And that's what me and Jase did. Going in from Thursday morning, we held it the entire day. And then Friday around 4 a.m., my take profit order was hit. And when I woke up, I saw the strong bar and I exited the rest of my position.
Yeah, so it was a really freaking beautiful trade, if you guys can see. You know, I just loved it. I love the idea. I was really confident, just like, you know, Barry was really confident with his kind of analysis of it as well. Barry, why don't you tell me a little bit more on how you drew your zones on like the 15-minute and the 4 hour?
So I do it a little bit uniquely. I like to look off of I do it off of rejection zones and then intermediate zones. So you can see rejection zones are pretty self-descriptive. Whenever price hits a level, you make the box as long as the wick is. Yeah, it's actually a little bit too high, but still, you make the box as long as the wick is, and then you set that zone out. So price, a lot of times, it may not reject, it may go through, but it kind of pays attention to that level, and it serves a good benefit to you as a trader to also pay attention to those levels. So you can see here that it's set another rejection level right here. It hits it, wicks it, pops up. It's also a divergent zone on the 4-hour chart. You can see right here and right here that it was divergent. So that's another divergent zone. And so it breaks beneath it, retests it, can't establish a lower low. So it pops up again, but you can see that I've got that zone marked too as an intermediate area, which is marked by just a straight line. It respects that line, drops lower, and then it starts to make a lower high here. And again, now you could just have to look at the 15-minute for entries, and it's just a classic D2 setup off the 800 EMA. So it really helps. It's just another confirming factor where, like, if it not only does it respect the EMAs, but also respects the zones. And you can see after it broke the 50, after making bearish price structure, it not only holds this line. It's kind of hard to see on my chart. You can see it holds this line up until the open of the New York session. So it holds that line. It breaks the liquid 50, goes into the sell zone, and now you can see, especially on the TDI, it breaks the previous divergent line, which is set back here, and it just cleanly just respects the liquid 50, it doesn't go into oversold territory until my exit price is hit, and it also, most importantly, doesn't build divergence. Mm-hmm. So those are all fantastic indicators to keep on holding the trade. And like I said, I wanted it to go the full 3R into this divergence zone, but you don't control the markets. You can only react to them. You can't even predict them. So just go with what your system tells you. System told me to exit, which was the great thing to do because, as you can see, it would have hit my stop loss, which was already moved into profit at the time.
Yeah, it's a freaking amazing trade, and I love how Barrett analyzed it, because it really shows you with like a little bit different analysis of like what I was kind of seeing, but kind of like the same idea, and like you can clearly see that how it respected that zone on the top of that divergence, like literally a clean zone off the higher time frames, and that's just amazing. That's really amazing. I love how price respects that, rejects it, and then continues making a reversal and a lower high as well in the higher time frames.
And it's a huge benefit of being in the ASFX group chat, because like you got me and Jase, we're both approaching the same pair with the same bias, but for two pretty different reasons. And so when those reasons correlate, it's a fantastic signal to really increase size, maybe play it a little bit. Like one of the mistakes that I made on this trade was that I took profits. Half of my position was closed at 1R, which is standard, which is nothing wrong with that. But because I had such strong convictions, I really should have moved it to like 1.5 or even the full 2R. So
let me show you guys how I viewed USD JPY and how I took the trade and how I managed that trade as well. All right, so this is USD JPY, guys. So this is basically the one daily chart and how I was looking at it. So let me turn on our indicators, our ASFX indicators. So we put on the pivots, the ADR, and our EMAs. This is basically what I was seeing on the daily chart. So we saw that price action went all the way up, rejected off the 50 EMA, and we were seeing maybe rejection off it, and then we were seeing that momentum of that bearish momentum. So for my idea on what I was basically looking at, I was looking at the 1 hour. So if you look at the 1 hour right over here, we saw that price action literally just broke the 800 EMA right over here, and we saw that it just continued going down with a lot of momentum. And if you can actually find an A1 entry around right over here. You can clearly see that this is kind of an A1 entry, a 3-candle formation right over here. And so, there's a lot of confluence and a lot of momentum hitting it right over here. So whenever it came all the way down, it basically made bullish divergence from right over here. And so kind of my idea, what it was, is basically it was rejecting off the bullish divergence zone, and it was making higher lows and then making finally higher highs, breaks over here, and it rejects off the level right over here that we have on the 15-minute. And so it was rejecting off the 800 EMA on the 50-minute, as well as the 200 EMA on the 1 hour. So, for me, it was kind of like more of a biased trade where I was looking at the higher time frames, and I knew that, if you guys remember that I traded USD short USD JPY short right over here. So I made about 10R, not 10R, about 9.4R on it. Taking it short, if you guys remember that. And so basically I had the same idea. We have the weekly level that, as you can see right over here below the zone. And so, right over here, we can clearly see on the 4-hour as well, this candle formation that happened on the 1 hour. And literally this candle formation literally went 27R, which is freaking insane in my opinion. And so it basically breaks the 50, comes off the 1521 and just holds the 8 EMA on the 4-hour chart. So that's a really amazing trade. And so, that clearly shows me that there's a lot of momentum in that USD JPY, and that, kind of comes into the fact of the Japanese yen being a safe haven. So for me, I love that idea. And so we bounced off this level and we came all the way up. I shorted it right over here, thinking that it was going to break this level, as we saw right over here, and continue going short toward this level that I had marked up here. Didn't really work out in my favor. There were some bullish divergence on the lower time frames on the, I believe on the 1 minute right over here. And it basically continued riding all the way up, rejected off this level right over here, came all the way down, rejected off the previous kind of level that I have marked up here, came all the way up, and rejected off finally off the 50 EMA on the 4-hour. So for me, I really like this trade because I'm a bear on USD JPY. If we look at the 15-minute, this was basically my trade. All right. So as we could see here on the beginning of around Thursday, Wednesday I was looking for shorts. Thursday the short presented as we see bearish divergence right over here. As price action is rising, the RSI is falling, and so we saw some bearish divergence formed right over here as well. So basically my idea of it was, taking it short as a kind of a D1 or D2 kind of a trade. And so what I was basically waiting was for lower highs to present. And so as you can see here, lower highs presented, we rejected off here. We made like a little lower high on the 1 minute. On the 1 minute, we saw significant lower highs happening. And so basically we saw that reject right over here. Off this little zone, we came all the way down and rejected it. Basically, to short it off the lower high, because this is a lower high, and as well as the lower high on the 1 minute. So basically I took the entry on the 1 minute. As it broke down the 50, I took the entry off the 50 EMA on the 1 minute. And so I took my entry right over here. My stop was at the high of the zone plus with spread, so it's probably a little bit right over here. And so basically it rode all the way down. It came up, bounced off the 50 EMA. I didn't lock my stop because this was more of a swing trade, not really a day trade for me. So it just, rejected off right over here again, and it completely just fell, and it fell all the way down again, and basically just started to be, basically started to be really choppy during the day, as you can see here with all the wicks happening, all in and about. But you can clearly see that short bias was still kind of there, and the bears were still trying to take in control. So we came all the way down over here, we rejected again, and basically just, we saw on the end of the 8, and we saw at the end of the day, just basically around the Asian session, it came all the way down, candle formation that presented right over here that some people could have taken, and basically just went all the way down, just riding the 8 and 21 EMA right over here. So for me, this is a really insane, awesome trade. I definitely took as much opportunity that I could take. It went all the way down to about 9R, so technically it's 10R in my P&L, but plus with spreads, I'm guessing, or this is not almost the exact entry that I took. Like maybe there's like 2 or 3 pips away, but basically it went all the way down 10R, around 10R, and so it bounced right over here. You see this wicks that happened right over here. There were some wicks. I'm expecting some maybe bullish divergence on the 1 minute, and so it bounced off this level right over here. Came all the way up. It broke the 50, and this is whenever Barrett actually got out. Is that correct, Barrett?
Yeah, once it broke the 50, I was out.
So my kind of idea was maybe it was going to pull back to the 200 EMA and then fall. I did take a re-entry right over here on the 1 minute. So as price broke through the 50, I took my entry right over here and rode it all the way down to the 50 EMA. I closed about half at 1R, I believe, or actually half at 2R. Because it was more of a swing trade bias, and basically I locked my stop into profit, and eventually it saw me out into profit. So it took about 1% of a winner right over here, as you see a little chat box right over here. And so, you know, finally it just basically rode all the way down, came all the way up to the 800 EMA and just started rejecting again. So for me, we saw again a D1 opportunity. And so, you know, from my original position, it came all the way up and stopped me out into profit. So this is where my stop was, right over here, with this red little line that I have marked up here. So I put my stop loss right over here. I didn't really try putting it above, or I mean just below as much as I can, because I knew with these swing trades they need a lot of more space, and especially on USD JPY they need a lot of space. You know, USD JPY is really volatile, especially on the New York session, and I know that it can have some pretty weird swings. So that's why I wasn't really too fast on locking myself into profit as more and more that it went down. So basically, it stopped me out. I did take a little bit of profit with me. I took about 5.5% with me on this drop right over here. And so basically, you know, I re-entered again on the break of the 800 EMA and on the break of the 800 EMA, and as well as the 1 minute 50. So I took my re-entry right over here. And so basically right now it's in profit about 2.86 R. So currently I have my lock stop at break even in all of my positions right now that is currently on this trade. So right now what I'm expecting, since it broke through the 50 with a lot of momentum, I'm expecting it to go all the way down toward, you know, around, I guess, this level, the S1 pivot, and toward this level as well right over here. So, you know, I really think that this is, you know, a continuation of a trade where this could go really far out if I just, you know, have the patience for it. So, you know, it's still bearish. The idea is still fresh. You know, we saw that you know, that lower high right over here, and then we see another lower high that happened right over here as well. So lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high.
You know, as you progress from, like, you know, novice trader, which is where I am, it's like more advanced where Jase is and even beyond, you know, you start getting better about nailing down your stop loss and stuff like that. So like the reason why Jase's trade went 10R and mine went 2R plus some change was pretty much because my stop loss was located at pin high of that divergent structure. So my stop loss was like at 20 pips, while his was probably, from the looks of it, like 6 or 7 at most, if not even less than that.
Here,
so like as we go on, like that's one of the reasons why it's so important to do these markups, is because it forces you to progress to where, like, hey, you know, I could have lowered my stop loss to here, or hey, you know, this made bearish structure, there's no reason why I couldn't put my stop loss where Jase was. Got a much better risk reward to it. So you can definitely see the progression between where the ideas from novice trader came in to where the ideas of a more veteran trader came in. And, you know, it's just a great example of how we always have to keep, and despite whether the trade's a winner or a loser, you always got to ask yourself what could have been better.
So hopefully you guys learned something from this video. Hopefully you guys take some insight of what, you know, kind of my idea of USD JPY as well as Barrett's idea, kind of the way we managed it a little bit differently, and where my entry was, where his entry was. All right, guys. So hopefully you guys have a really awesome weekend, and I'll see you guys on Monday.